Okay, so I'm just going to record this. This is what I mean by special circumstances. Hold on a minute. Okay, so it is September 14th, 2025 at 3:52 a.m. in the morning. Do you hear? I turned this on, starting this video, not really too sure what I'm going to talk about it throughout it, because I'm kind of disgusted with YouTube with their hate fest, calling that safe content. I guess it all depends on how you interpret the word safe. And how it's being presented to you. But that's not why I turned on the camera right now. I turned on the camera because both of my grandsons are awake. Yeah, we had Kyrie and Alea May yesterday from... What time did Tisha come by?
11, 12.
What, 10 minutes after 11, or was it 12 o'clock?
It was like 11, 12.
So that's 12 minutes after 11.
Yeah.
Okay. She called me up. Hold on a minute. Oh boy, oh boy. Okay, the reason I want you to hear this, right, as he's carrying on in the background, Amari, that is. He hears me talking now, so he's just being a little goofball. Anyway, yeah, it's like 4 o'clock in the morning, okay? So, Tisha drops off the kids yesterday. I don't know, it was like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, right? And she says she's going to pick them up at 11 o'clock at night. Alright, so they're at the house. Now, just keep in mind, people, I just finished cleaning up, okay? And I wiped all the toys, put everything away. Yeah, anyway. She told me she's going to come on Monday and help me just do a little something around here. I don't know what. She wants a pot, a certain kind of pot. So I'm going to have her look at my pots and pans. Because I kind of wanted to remove some of them and maybe put some away for another day if I ever need them, as the bottoms are burning out. I've mentioned that in another video. So maybe she might want 1 or 2 other pots or pans or whatever, frying pans or whatever, because I've got, So she's going to come over on Monday and we're going to go through my pots and pans and either or. Thing is, she drops off the kids. They're here till 11 o'clock. And of course they scatter everything. Well, Kyrie. It's mostly Kyrie. And he's so sneaky about it, right? And because I was in the kitchen doing what I was doing, right? I was sifting flour because I rebagged it and stuff and just whatever. I just wanted, okay. And, I'm going through the buckets, trying to, tighten them up to figure out what I want downstairs, what I don't want downstairs, right? What I want to keep handy upstairs. Kyrie came in here and he grabbed a calligraphy cart, a calligraphy art kit, and a little sneaky little bugger. He opened it up and he got into the ink of it, the bottle. Oh my God. Ugh. Big mess there. So anyway, the point is, Tisha comes 10 minutes after 11. Now by this time I'm on the couch sleeping because, I normally get up around this time while they're sleeping. Andre and Amari. But they're not sleeping tonight. You see, that's the thing. Well, this morning. Normally I get up usually around this time, or in around this time, and Amari and Andre are sleeping. And then Amari might get up, and when I get up, or maybe he'll get up in a couple of hours, and Andre's still sleeping, right? But, Amari's bouncing around playing, and, I give him a bottle, or I change him, or he's just playing, and, and this is like, it could be between 5 in the morning and 7 in the morning, And, you know, and once he gets up, he's usually up for a couple of 2-3 hours anyway, until eventually he'll just go back and lay down and, well, you know, he'll just fall back asleep. So if I get up at 4 in the morning, Amari might get up at 5:30 in the morning. Andre's still sleeping, right? And then Amari might end up falling asleep. So if he gets up at 5:30, he might end up falling asleep at 8 o'clock, maybe 7, 8. It depends. If I lay down at 7 because I got up at 3 or 4 in the morning, and I lay down at 7 after doing whatever I was doing, and I just want to rest, you know, I'll put the computer on, and I'll put on a story, and I listen to it. Well, Amari will maybe settle down and go back to sleep, or, you know, I'm doing what I'm doing, he's playing, I've fed him, chances are I've already changed him, and he's still playing with his little bear, or he's giggling and goofing off. Andre's still sleeping, and then eventually Amari will fall asleep again, and that might be between 8 and 9 in the morning, right, or something like that. And Andre's still sleeping, and then usually between 10 and 11, right, I'll start waking up Andre so that we can try and keep within the medication schedule, right, between 10 and 11 to give Amari his medication. So chances are Andre's now waking up Amari, right, because he went back to sleep at maybe 7:30, 8 in the morning, right, 8:30, maybe as late as 9, as I'm still running around doing what I'm doing, or maybe I'm sleeping and we're all sleeping, because, you know, sometimes I'll get up, I'll do the dishes, whatever, and then I'll go back and I'll lay down as I listen to the story from YouTube as I'm listening, but I doze, right? And then Murray will calm down, he'll go back to sleep. Like, what I'm trying to say is there's no fixed sleeping schedule. Okay, so the kids are here, yada-de-yada. I put in, you know, whatever day in the kitchen as best as I can. I'm not rushing with the crap. I'm already overworked. So, you know, it's like wiping down the toys. No point in picking up all the toys, just throwing them into one big pile. When they're sticky and they're not, you know, I'm going to take the time to sort them out into piles, wipe them down if they need them, and then put them away. Well, it's the same thing when I'm working in the kitchen. You know, I got to do that. I'm going through buckets, so I'm having to pull and I'm having to think. And okay, so whatever. Eventually, I end up falling asleep on the couch. Right, was watching King Edward, right? Andre said, "Well, now you want to watch something?" I said, "Yeah, put on King Edward the Fourth or something like that." So I'm laying on the couch and I'm listening, but you know, if I'm putting in full days, you know, it won't be long before I fall asleep. So okay, I hear Tisha's voice. Kyrie's getting up to go, right? Leah May, they go. So I hear. Tisha came by and got the kids. Andre dealt with that. I'm still sleeping on the couch. Was Amari awake or was he sleeping?
Sleeping.
So Amari was sleeping at 11 o'clock?
Technically, he fell asleep at 10:30.
So Amari fell asleep at 10:30 because I was on the couch sleeping, right? Because oftentimes he aligns his schedule. Andre noticed that. Amari will align his schedule kind of with me, right? So I guess because I was sleeping, he decided to fall asleep. So Tisha comes, and Kyrie was sleeping, but not Alea May or Andre. But Tisha comes, picks up the kids. I hear that, you know, Andre locks the door, whatever, right? And then, of course, I'm still sleeping. And then eventually I get up, and it's like 3 o'clock in the morning. And Amari was already awake when I woke up, eh? Andre?
Yes?
Amari was awake when I woke up this morning, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, right? And Andre's walking around. Right? I'm like, okay, so what do you know, what's up, right? And Amari's like awake, and I'm coming now awake. So, I slept maybe 5 hours. I probably fell asleep around maybe 9:30, right? On the couch with the kids there, everybody in the living room, Alea, May, Kyrie, Andre, Aunt Mari, right? You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. And I said, well, why aren't you sleeping, Andre? Oh, well, blah, 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 Amari. And I'm like, oh, okay. And like, this little boy is I guess he woke up, and then I woke up, and apparently Andre even had a nap after the kids were picked up by Tisha. So who woke up first, Andre or you? I mean, Amari or you? Because you said that you went to sleep for a while.
Yeah.
So who woke up first? Because when I woke up, you were walking around and he was already awake.
Mara woke up first, I woke up second.
Yeah, so do you see? Shift work. Shift work. This is what we do here, right? We got it on lockdown. We know exactly what we're doing here. So I'm sleeping on the couch. Kids are gone now. Andre took a nap because Amari was sleeping. I was sleeping, so Andre fell asleep. But then Amari woke up. Andre heard it. I didn't, because I was still passed out. Right? So he's now keeping an eye on Amari. And then I wake up, I guess because I heard Amari starting to make noise. Right? So now it's like 5 minutes after 4 in the morning and everybody's awake with Amari playing. And Andre not wanting to go to sleep because he had a nap. Yeah, this is what I mean. Like, so Andre woke up because he heard Amari. Right? So, like, we're not going to sit up in some stuffy, hot bedroom. And don't forget, the bed. I'd have to get high plastic rails, right? To the whole thing. And it's so dry and hot in that room. Like these women, they don't even know what they're talking about. Like, it's so stupid. He's playing. He's not going to sleep right now. Hell no. He might go back to sleep if I'm lucky. Well, I'd have to like just turn off all the lights and make everybody just lay there and not move. Don't move. Go to sleep. Shut up. That's enough. Right? Like, I'll probably lay back down more than likely because I have to be careful with my energy, right? I don't know. I'm converting over a video that, just whatever. Like, I'm so disgusted with YouTube. I don't know if I it went down to $6.66 from $7.25 or 24 cents, right? And so it was $7.24, went down to $7.02, then it went down to $6.66. Now we're back up to $7.20, even though it went up to $7.24, and they took another 4 cents off. Like, it's stupid. Like, now I'm back up to $7.20. Like, why? Why did you give me $7.27 to bring it down to $6.66 to come back and give me $7.20 again after you took off another 2 or 4 more cents? Like, it's stupid. Like, and like, I don't get it. Like, I don't know how they do this, but it's just really stupid. And like, they're shadow banning my channel in terms of YouTube. They foster hate, people. Like, YouTube really fosters hate. I mean, I know I have negativity going on in my life, but that's at the hands of other people, right? In terms of, the city of Surrey with the gang stalking in the yard, and, and just whatever, and even right now with these social workers, right? I just mentioned to the social worker that you know, with the respite stuff going on there, and right, that, you know, I'm not too sure, you know, like, who's going to look after Amari if I should die. That's why they're here, because that's what Jessica was saying. It's obviously the clutter. Well, the clutter, that's not going to change, honestly, until I move from this house. In terms of, it's just the way the house is laid out, and with the amount of things that you need in terms of, you know, like the extra pillows and the extra blankets, the, you know, just stuff like that, right? And I mean, I'm not going to get rid of the toys and the books for the kids at this point, because I've got grandkids, and, you know, Mark Kane's thinking about having a baby. Oh my God, right? You know what I'm saying? You know, maybe he won't want anything because of the way Marina is with her attitude. Everything's got to be new, or it's got to come from her. It can't come from anybody. Well, it can't. I don't know about anybody, but it sure in hell can't come from me. So even if I had something really, 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 really nice in here that would be good, like some of these toys that Kyrie plays with, that Andre played with, that Alea May played with, I don't know if Marina would allow her kid to do that, just because of her animosity towards me, I suppose, right? Because of whatever her issues are. They're not my issues, they're her issues. So, you know, even if I save some of this stuff for Mark Kane's children, it doesn't mean that Marina would allow him to take it, because she'd want to go off and buy for herself. Whether she's buying it at Value Village or whether she's buying it brand new off freaking online shopping. You know, because she's just funny that way, right? She's insecure. I don't know what her issues are. But besides that point, the point is, what am I like it? Clearly, Amari waking up, bouncing around. Andre heard it. He woke up. I woke up soon after. They're both awake. How long they're going to be awake for, I don't know. Because Amari will end up playing. He got changed. He got a bottle with the Pediasure, which is constipating him, by the way, people. But we're still giving it to him. So he got changed. He got his Pediasure. We put on a little t-shirt for him. Andre did that because the weather's breaking now and it's starting to get cool. So prior to that, we've all been baking. So that makes it really hard, right? To, you know, live in a house when you're constantly baking like a baked potato because it's so warm, right? Well, today it's a little cooler, so he got a t-shirt on, got his diapers changed, he got his bottle, you know, he's happy. Right, everything's, you know, the blankets are clean, and there's, you know, right? And Andre, are you still awake? Andre?
Yes.
Are you still awake?
Yeah.
Are you going back to sleep?
No.
Are you going back to sleep, Andre? No. It's 4:12 in the morning.
Yeah, no.
Huh?
No.
Not yet?
No.
No, because he already had his power nap. He already had his power nap. Normally they're sleeping at this time. The only one that normally wakes up would be Amari. And it's a hit and miss as to how long he'll stay awake for. He could stay awake for an hour, or he could stay awake for 4 hours. Eventually he'll go back to sleep, whether I go lay down and go listen to my little show, you know, my little story, and then kind of, you know, cat nap in between, and then, you know, we'll wake up between 10 and 11. Right? And then that's when okay, right? You know, like, I'd have to pull everybody out of the bedroom. Well, I wouldn't have to pull out Andre. He'd just walk out. Right? But Amari? That's why I need a big room, people, with a big mattress on the floor with some beautiful bean bags. You know, a nice piano in the room, like a big rumpus room or a big living room, right? One wall, there's the piano with the drum set and the guitars hanging by, and then there's a shelf with all the crafts for the kids and, you know, the miscellaneous little things, you know, the little games or whatever, you know, and then there's our old TV with all our old VCRs, Land Before Time, and, you know, Peter Pan and Pinocchio, and, you know, Beauty and the Beast, and all those kind of videos, including, you know, the older videos, those, you know, Encounter of the Third Kind, Star Trek, those kind of videos, right? Because I have them, you know, and like if I have like the TV with the VCR with the children's videos, I just be playing children's videos back to back to back with Amari from time to time, or with Kyrie or Leia May, or who knows, maybe it might even be Mark Kane's child, right? You know what I'm saying? So people can't tell me I can't do that, right? They just can't, just because they don't know, you know, they don't have that special child that you have to build your life around with those special needs, because this is the result of Amari and his special needs. This is exactly what it is. And it's not our fault. It's not our fault any more than it's Amari's fault for being disabled. Right? And if I shut everything down, turn off all the lights, right? And whether it was in the bedroom or whether it was in here, and made myself lay down, I'd be fighting with them to go to sleep. Go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. Stop it. Stop moving around, you're bouncing. Because Amari will play in the dark too, you know, right? You know, he'll still move around and bounce and, you know, keep grabbing and wanting to sit up. And, you know, Andre will just get tossing and turning and get up and start walking around. I'll be like, no, Andre, lay down, go to sleep. Oh, come on. No, you're right. You know what I mean? Every now and then I will shut everybody down, especially if we've got to get up early in the morning. You know, we need to get some sleep. Yada-dee-ya. Yeah, they're playing. Both of them. What are you playing, Andre? What are you doing? What are you doing?
What do you mean?
Well, what are you amusing yourself with?
The computer?
Yeah, doing what? Huh?
I'm just building another badge for one of my cars.
So he's on the computer building a batch of something for his cars.
For a car.
Building a what?
I'm building a badge for a Hellcat.
You're building a what?
A badge.
You're building a badge?
Yeah.
For a what?
Hellcat.
What?
Hellcat.
What's that?
It's a car. It's a car that Dodge makes.
It's some kind of car that Dodge makes. He's building a badge for it. Well, Amari is chatting up a storm. And now it's 20 minutes after 4. Yeah. Well, I'm gearing up to have more panic attacks today. As, you know, I got, you know, like, I'm being forced to do things, I don't want to say with a bad attitude, because it's not like I have a bad attitude, because I've been doing it anyway before these women have been showing up. But what they've done is they put, you know, pepper under my feet where I have to rush with it, which makes me nervous, because they're making me self-doubt myself, even though there's no reason for me to self-doubt myself. I just can't do everything in a day, in one day. And, you know, some things take time to do because I'm dispersed with so many other things that I've got to do, that I can only do things in increments. Or every now and then I'll come into a snag where, you know, I've got this and I need to put it someplace, but I have to really think about it. And sometimes it takes a while to figure it out where I'm going to put it, where it actually makes sense, right? And if I'm going to put it someplace where there's things that need to come out, I have to figure out where I'm going to put that stuff after I take it out. Not just put it down, leave it there, but, you know, where can I put it there later? It's like, Like, you know, like I've been cleaning for 50 freaking years, man. My mother used to have parties when I was, I'm 63, right? So when I was 10 years old, 8 years old, 9 years old, 12 years old, you know, all those years, right? She, you know, she used to work in a bar, eh? And anyway, she'd come home after the bar with all these people, and they'd party, right? You know how that goes. So I'd get up in the morning, and it was my job to clean up. So I'd be cleaning up ashtrays, beer bottles, you know, scraps of paper, garbage, whatever, you know, plates, food, because they'd eat, right? Just things, what people leave around when they party, right? And I did that regularly. You know, I have to wipe down, you know, clean the coasters, because she, you know, she had a little class, so she'd give people coasters. So you'd have to clean the coasters, and I'd do the glasses, pick up the beer bottles, you know, and wipe down the tables, and, you know, and vacuum, and I did it all, people. I was 10 years old, washing 10 loads of laundry on a Saturday that I would put into piles in the kitchen by color, right? Sorting out by color. Darks with the darks, whites with the whites, with the colors or whatever. It'd be like 10 loads, okay, on a Saturday. Those are sheets, those are whatever, okay. My Saturdays at 10 years old would be standing in the kitchen with a wringer washer. That's all we had in those days. That's those washers that are on wheels with a big wash tub, right, with the wringer device at the top. So you'd fill up the tub, put your clothes in there, it would agitate, then you'd have to take the clothes with your hands and run them through the wringer to squeeze out the water, and you had to be very careful that you didn't get your fingers in the wringer, because if you did, you were going to lose your hand. 10 loads, and that's just the wash. Then, after you wash it, you drain the water, you fill up the water, and then you rinse it, and then you do it through the wringer again. And then I take it to the clothesline, and I would hang it on the clothesline. And then I'd have to take them off the clothesline after they were dry, right? Or hang them in the house, depending on the time of the season, and fold them up and put them away. I was 10 years old. And I've got women in here that could be my daughters because of their age, treating me like a slave, putting fear into me because their supervisor expects them to do that and gives them the right to do that. And for what purpose? If a fire happened right now, we already have that base covered. We'd go out the window if we can't get out this way. It's always been like that. I'd choose this window over here any day compared to the window in the bedroom. And eventually one day I will do a video on that with a measuring tape, so you can see the difference between heights of the windows. Right? My son wants me to dismantle my sewing room because he feels that I haven't sewed for 14 years, so therefore I shouldn't have it anymore. That's asinine, because I still want to sew. I want to make some do-rags, and there's things I want to do, and Andre wants to learn how to sew. I said, well, we couldn't do that anyway because we got a problem with raccoons and people that like to come to my door and steal. They'll actually walk in. I have video recording when I had the cameras up, right? I'm pretty sure it was Tamika in disguise with her fake hair and her glasses with just gangster look with her red shoelaces, you know, because she stalks my yard, right? We know that every now and then. Anyway, that individual came up. It was 7 o'clock, 7:30 in the morning, and we were sleeping, and I heard the doorbell ring. So of course I got up and went to the door. By the time I got to the door, there was nobody there. All right, this is like 7:30 in the morning. And then Andre looked on the camera, and what it was this individual that was dressed up in disguise with a blonde wig, a little hoodie, glasses, you know, mask, so you really technically couldn't see the color of this person's skin. They were trying to hide their skin color, right, with gloves and just gangster outfit on, little backpack with cell phone, with shoes with red shoelaces, and Tamika likes red. You know, she likes to look like a gangster, either or. They came up, went to the door, stood by the door for a minute, rang the doorbell, and then walked down and then ran off. So by the time I got out, they were gone. Like, that's just straight up messed up. And what were they doing? Trying to get in? I've had my door open, and I've had shit disappear from my hall. So I have to be very careful to leave my door open for any length of time, because I've had people just walk in and grab shit from my hall. And not to mention raccoons coming in. Okay? I told Andre, if we got to start opening up this part in here just because we need to get to the front door, oh no, it's going to be a problem with the raccoons. I don't open my door as much as I'd like to, as it is, but they'll come into the living room looking for food if they think they can find it or anything. Yeah. And you know, like, this is what I mean. People don't understand what we go through, right? So I'm leaving the sewing room. Are you right? You know what I'm saying? And I will go as far as do a mock escape with Andre, you know, with a test subject to see if we can get Amari over the shit. I don't even. You guys are getting quiet. Are you going to sleep?
No.
Mari's going to sleep?
No.
No. Now it's like 4:30 in the morning, and they're both awake. And if I try and lay down and try and get them to go to sleep right now, we'll be all fussing and fighting for over an hour. You know, we're tired, but we're not that tired where we're going to want to go to sleep. Is it warming up in here, or is it just my imagination?
It's not just your imagination.
You feel it warming up in the house?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm feeling it too. I'm starting.
What I'm doing now too, I'm also listening to chill piano music.
What's that?
I'm listening to chill music with piano.
You're listening to chill music with piano?
Yeah.
Can Amari hear it?
No.
No? What, you got your headphones on?
Yeah. I just don't want to interrupt your video.
Oh, he doesn't want to interrupt my video, but he's listening to chill music with piano.
Yeah, and also because I don't want to get copyrighted.
And he doesn't want me to get copyrighted. That's what I like about Andre. He has a diversity in taste for music. He likes country, he likes rock and roll, he likes gangster hip-hop music, he likes, obviously, piano music, right? He likes blues, he likes funk, yeah. I don't know about classical yet. Probably, I'm sure I'm pretty sure if he heard some classical songs, he'd like it. And of course, whenever Andre's playing that stuff, Amari's right in the mix too, and Amari likes it too. So anyway, so yeah, so you know, now I've been up since 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been up since 1. And I probably fell asleep at around 10. So 10, 11, No. So 10, 11, 12, 1. Wait, yeah. So we'll just say I fell asleep at 10, so 11, 12, 1. So I slept for about 3 hours, which isn't really very much, right? That's what I mean. I sleep to get up and work, right? But they were already up. And they had already had naps themselves. So they're not going to go to sleep. So maybe you have to go back to sleep though soon. You're going to have to try. Yeah. Even if it's just a cat nap. Right? Because it throws your schedule off. But then our schedules are thrown off anyway. What is Amari doing? See, Amari's just chilling on the couch, relaxing.
Like me right now, just chilling on the floor here.
What's that?
Kind of like just me right now, just chilling on the floor, listening to...
I can't hear you.
Like me, just chilling on the floor here, listening to music.
Yeah, he's just on the couch. Is he close by you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's close by Andre. He flipped himself over, and he's laying in my spot real close to Andre. He likes to be really close to Andre. And Andre lets him do that. You know, he'll sit where Amari can, be very close, right? So in many ways, they're very close with each other. Something that these young women, they don't understand. Okay? So it's not that simple. When you have a child with special needs, you end up getting into situations that are special. You end up getting special circumstances, and you learn to adapt around those special circumstances to where it works kind of for everybody. And, we're on schedules where sometimes they align up and it works out really good, where other time, in terms of like, we're all sleeping, we all wake up at the same time. Sometimes that happens, right? Not very much, but, or they're sleeping and I'm awake, or I'm sleeping and they're awake, or I'm sleeping and they fall asleep and then I wake up and it turns out they already woke up. Like, that's... So anyway. So this YouTube crap, I don't know. This video that I'm converting right now, I'm calling it YouTube Hate Fest. In terms of all these content creators that are using other people's situations as talking points to comment on them, but usually they're just criticizing and pushing out negativity and dividing the people with arrogance. While YouTube continues to shadow ban my channel, hardcore, yeah. Indian fatigue in Canada gets more worse, and Canadians are totally fed up with these Indians. 3 days ago. I'm surprised that YouTube doesn't consider that to be hate speech. Just based on...
A new coach. And a game to get...
Just based on how they do their ratings. Yeah.
Paying my taxes. Look at this shit. Look at this shit. Yeah, look at this shit, eh? Yeah, what? What? You got 20 family members living in one house getting paid from the government.
20 family members living in the one house getting paid by the government. That's what I've told you. This house is prime real estate to move in a immigrant family. Or at least immigrants in general. Because you can just stack and pack the males on one half of the house and still have a immigrant family on top.
What, they dropped you off here to do what?
Like, why you running me out of my house? Why you treating me like I don't know how to clean? Could you do 10 loads of laundry in a wringer washer? Seriously. And hang them up and then fold them up after they were dry? Could you possibly do that? I could. I've done it. I used to do it every Saturday in an old rickety down, run down Punjabi house. Well, we used to call them East Indians. They were probably Punjabis or maybe Hindu. Either or, the owners came from India, because I remember. And because it was an old rickety house, my mother used to do interior decorating, so she would put up wallpaper. And because it was an older house, it had beautiful trims and stuff in terms of the wood, right? Not like these days, eh? And she used to paint them gold. And, you know, she really went out of her way to interior decorate for these guys, these landlords. And I remember. I don't think these women could do 10 loads of laundry in a wringer washer. Never mind hang them up to dry yet, whether you're drying them on the inside of the house or on the outside of the house. I did. I used to do that every Saturday at 10 years old. Yeah.
What? Exactly. Get the f out of here. Leave!
You're running, see? Yeah, there you go. Now, yeah? Swear at me. Yeah, swear at me.
Panhandler pretends to have a limp after confronted. She walks perfectly fine.
See that? She owns a Cadillac.
So we've got immigrants coming to Canada panhandling, right? She owns a, what did he say? Something. And she's out there on the streets begging for money because she's a new immigrant when she owns a Cadillac, I think he said. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was one of the issues I was having trying to find a place for us. Like, if you're not Punjabi or a student,
Yeah.
trying to find a place.
If you're not Punjabi or a student trying to find a place and the social workers don't want to address this issue with me,
It's hard.
it's hard. Exactly. Exactly. And these women want to come into my life and make it even freaking harder, damn well knowing that sooner or later I am going to be facing this situation in terms of homelessness. They're just speeding up the process, making it harder for me to do anything really, because if they make me start getting rid of what little left I have that belongs to me because they can and nothing stops them, well, that's only because they know that when I leave, I couldn't house the crap anyway, because they don't stop or do anything about or advocate against the housing situation when it comes to the corruption within the housing market, where you gotta be a Punjabi or a student before you can get housing, versus a family that was in, Canadian family. Below a certain income level. And even if you're above that income level, you still can't buy houses because of the corruption. Or you can't look after your mom or your disabled grandson, or I'm sorry, disabled nephew, because you can't afford the housing to look after them. Right? But yet they'll be quick to come in here and take Amari and hand him over to strangers to put him in a cage. I'm sorry, a metal crib. Right? And pay them $4,000 to look after him. But they won't, so that he can be housed there with those people in that house. And that's all tax-free money. And that those people looking after him could be anybody, right? But they won't give us $4,000 a month to look after him so that we can get a house to house him. And they just want me and Andre to go to the streets and Andre to go to those services that they sent toward, your service says it's youth Creekside. Creekside is a recovery house, but I get for like drugs and stuff. But I guess they also have something there for teens. I know Creekside because of Sierra. Yeah. That's the resources that they're sending him to. I mean, I'm sure there's other things in there that he can tap into, but he can tap into those things on his own time when he's ready, if he ever wants to. Nothing's stopping that. Right? But he'd rather work for Brad at this point.
It's reality of Brampton, eh? It's tough, man. Even, a lot of people come here, they just said, I've been trying to get the place, but it's like...
No, you have to be Punjabi or...
You have to be Punjabi or a student in order to get the place to rent. And that's basically what's going on. Or at least a Syrian, or maybe, an Iranian, right? Something like that. You better get a better chance because there's programs hooked up with the cities. Right? The cities are pushing it.
Or Islamic or...
Yeah.
Islamic, yeah. Iran, did I not say? That's Islamic. Yeah, that's exactly what's going on.
You have to be part of that community or you're not allowed in that home. I get that, but it don't make it easy because I'm not religious and I'm white.
Yeah, we're being targeted. White trash, black trash, and natives, Indians, First Nation people, Aboriginals, mainly, in terms of the targeted group.
Yeah, we got people complaining about immigrants, but we have Canadians doing this. Stolen bike. I don't know what the hell's going on here.
Listen, the nepotism that is going on in Canadian hiring system, this shit needs to stop. These poor kids, these poor teenagers, they can't get a job for fucking shit. Like, they need to be able to have a little bit of pocket money too. I'm all for integration and hiring and all that, but you can't get in and then hire your mother, brother, sister, father, cousin, sixth, nth removed. It needs to be a fair fucking shot.
Yeah, Andre, you can't look after your nephew when you grow up. You need to go out there and forge a way and find your own way in the world. You're right. You might grow up to be a famous scientist, but you're not going to know that if you're looking after a little boy who loves you. Right? That's the messaging that these people give Andre. Although Marcane finally changed his tune. He finally changed his tune, and he told Andre that if that is what Andre wants to do as he grows, is to learn to look after Amari, Marcane is okay with that. If that's what you want to do, Andre, that's okay. Now, was my son sincere about it? Well, I'd like to think so. These women, that's not what they want. They want him to go somewhere else and be manipulated by a bunch of strangers for some end goal that is not maybe suited for Andre, because it's not like those were decisions that Andre made for himself. Because he's going to be cornered and manipulated into things that he'll agree to without understanding what he's agreeing to. And once he's stuck in it, and like I said, all they have to do is send in a couple of kids, one to befriend Andre, that's a bad role model, and steer him off in the wrong direction, and then that's it. And then who's left for Amari? Maybe that's why they're so adamant to do it. They don't want anybody caring about Amari in terms of, it's okay, I'll look after you because I love you. I've been looking after you all these years, and I'm going to continue, and I'm going to grow. This is what I want. Because trust me, if Andre didn't want to do that, whatever little problems I have with him with that parent-teen conflict would be a whole lot bigger than what I've got, which isn't that bad.
You create lack of opportunities for employment, kids like that reduce themselves to stealing shit. Or they get frustrated and just say, why bother even try? There needs to be a better hiring system in place. And I know a lot of these businesses are getting tax breaks for hiring immigrants. So maybe we start there and take that shit back. Toronto's supposed to be very multicultural. Let's fucking act like it.
Hello?
Speak English?
Yeah?
3 hamburger.
Yeah?
متكسرة؟ لا لا. No tomato, no خسيسو.
People in Canada are getting jobs without speaking English. Let me give you all a quick story about what happened today. So earlier today, I had to go to Walmart to get a certain item, right? I found a worker there and I asked him where I could find this certain item. And out of nowhere, this employee was like, me no speak English. Basically saying that the person doesn't speak English. So I'm like, bro, in my mind, I'm like, how did you get hired? That's crazy. You don't even know how to speak English and you got hired. Now, if you have an accent or you don't speak English really well, that's fine. It's okay. Everybody takes time to adapt. You know what I mean? That's crazy, bro. Us young guys can't get the job, but people that don't know how to speak English get the job. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not here to complain about getting a job, you know? If you're unemployed right now, bro, the best thing that you can do is work on yourself, bro. Build up some personal skills for yourself. But yeah, man, just a crazy day, you know?
So guys, the Canadians are totally fed up. The Canadians are done. The Canadians can't handle this anymore. Indian fatigue in Canada. And it is giving them sleepless nights. Some of them are recording these Indians and telling them, go away. They can...
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. I got a lot to say about that, but I don't want to say anything right now. It's not going to change anything. Okay, so I guess this is what this video is about. Immigration, maybe. So, more Indians in terms of, like, from India. So that would be Hindus, Punjabis, and other miscellaneous ethnic, well, religious, really. They're all Indian. That's the ethnic part of them. And then they splinter off into religions, right? Like a Tamil or something. Sarah Sundaram was Tamil from India. So the majority is the Punjabi, then it's the Hindu, and then it's everybody else in India that falls under a different religion, okay? More Indians have immigrated to Canada in the last 5 years, people, than all previous 100 years combined. If you've been watching my videos, what do I get? I get a Punjabi coming to my door, calling me down because I won't give him a water hose so that he can do whatever he wants 2 properties down as he's tearing down houses to build complexes that nobody can afford, right? Because his daddy helped him to get rich so that he can do it. And because I said, no, I'm not giving you the water hose to do that, he started calling me down, called me a bum, said I didn't work, I was useless, yada-de-yada, right at my front freaking door. And then if you don't get that, you get the Punjabi coming in from the city of Surrey as a bylaw officer, either keeping you out in the yard working for over a year straight, sometimes 5 to 7 days for 12 hours a day within that 1 year period, so that they can break your spirit so you'll give up and move out, so that whoever they're in partnership with can maximize, you know, the rent gouging of the house, but you have to get rid of the tenant first. And if the tenant hasn't done anything wrong, then yeah, make them work like a slave out in the yard at the direction and threats of a city bylaw officer, right? Or at least to build a case so that when you really want to kick them out, you can have evidence of the problem tenant that worked in your yard or in that yard for free, all those years. Regardless, it was extreme yard maintenance. You know where I'm going with that one. Or you can have a city bylaw officer that's Punjabi with a turban on, and and start fining you money, and then use your family members as a tool to empty out the yard completely of everything, right? Right? In terms of $10,000 worth of belongings, whether they're weather-worn wood, tools, planter pots, outside play toys. It didn't matter what it was get rid of it. In the middle of winter yet, either freezing cold rain or snow that sat on the ground for almost 3 weeks, with the pressure of that Punjabi who is a bylaw officer that can barely speak English, telling you that you need to hurry up and get the job done, even though the ground is covered with a foot worth of snow that is as hard as rock. Okay? And now you've got social workers coming in, got you moving around this, doing this, threatening this, making, well, there's no penalties yet. You got time. I got time. Well, so as I'm listening to this, thinking about those things, knowing what's going to move in after I'm gone, because I feel like I'm being forced out of my house through the gang stalkers in the community in partnership with however they get paid off, whether it's through bonuses, whether it's through passing the bonus on to somebody else in terms of if they pluck out a Maury and go put him over there with that foster care parent that's going to get $4,000 a month, not to do what Andre and I are doing with him, but to put him in a metal crib that's padded, because it's going to have to be padded, and being that they're not going to want to put up with him bouncing around, pulling down the pads, trying to climb out, making noise, they're going to just simply drug him, right? And they're going to put a feeding, you see where you're going with that one. Well, now they can have Andre running around between these youth services that they offer to mold him into whatever it is that they want to mold him into. And because he's going to be rebellious, because he's going to be feeling suicidal, because he lost his cats, he lost his house, he's lost his cousin, and Nana's still kicking around, but maybe Nana's not in great shape, right? What do you think's going to happen to him? Uncle Marcane's going to come to the rescue? Yeah, okay. And then, so they can rent this house out for $5,000 a month to Punjabi students, a whole bunch of men, the UN soldiers. I like to call them the UN soldiers, right? Because they're not just students, people. It's a little more complicated than that. Or a Syrian family, or a family from Iraq, or someplace like that. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what will move in, guarantee, right? And then I'm like, okay, Judy. Well, if it gets real ugly, you haven't had time to sit down and type out what happened with the city of Surrey yet. I just haven't, people. I just haven't, in terms of what happened in January with the removal of all my belongings, basically, in the manner that they did it, which I'm sure was illegal. I'm sure it was illegal. You know what? I can simply just go to the MLA office, make an appointment with one of their assistants, the one person I was talking to on the phone, explain my circumstances to them, and make an appointment for an hour or two where they can sit down and I can tell them the story with the basic timeline in terms of, well, on this date this happened, on this date this happened, and they can type it out for me, and then they can have it as record as to what's going on with the systematic dismantling of Canadian families, especially when they're vulnerable, to accommodate an immigrant replacement program that is subsidized by the federal government, the provincial government, and municipalities. And of course, nobody's going to take any responsibility for anything when it comes to those three different government agencies. They're going to point fingers. City of Surrey is going to say, no, we're not instigating this. It's the federal government, because they're the ones that are bringing them in and providing the subsidies. But yet, at the end of the day, there's kickbacks to those subsidies where the cities and the provinces get subsidies, get cash portfolios to free up housing to house these immigrants as they're coming in. Okay? So I've got a Punjabi man coming to my door asking for water, yada-yada, so he can cause destruction and throw out more people out into the streets so that he can start spraying down his duplex before he tears it down. I don't know what the hell he wanted the water for, but you know what? If you wanted the water, maybe you shouldn't have cut off the water at the freaking water main before you decided to come to your neighbor's house and then start accusing them of being bums because they said no, because they realized it's just a matter of time before you, that person that insulted me, is going to come to my door and tell me to get the hell out. Right? And not care where I go. And if you're not going to do it, you're going to get your homeboy working at the City of Surrey to do it for you, or at least to set the stage so that the process can be, right? So that, yeah, that's something I should consider, right? Go to the MLA office. I'm sorry, I don't have the time to write this stuff because I've got these people always got their whip on my back, making me do this, making me do this, making me to do that. I've got responsibilities with a special needs child that requires special circumstances in terms of how Andre and I rearrange our life to be able to. What time is it? Are you awake?
Yeah.
Is Amari awake?
Yes.
Look at that. See? 5:02 a.m. and they're both awake. Amari's just chilling quietly with Andre in the living room right now. So what? These social workers expect everybody to be in the bedroom not wanting to sleep at this point because they already had their little cat naps. Amari in a cage on the bed with Andre on top, with baking because that room's hot. Me trying to get them to go to sleep. Yeah, okay. But yeah, no, I'm like, okay, Judy, don't panic. If it gets real funky, just go to the MLA office, book an appointment, explain your circumstances, and have the assistant to help you to type out the basic timeline as to what's been going on, especially since January, right? Because honestly, people, I need to get outside and work outside. That is the priority. When these women come on Thursday, I'm going to tell them, you know what? You're interrupting what I needed to do in terms of the priority for me to even have a house. If I don't go outside and deal with the morning glory, if I don't go outside and deal with the things that need to be repaired, whether it's the X Club, the greenhouse, the stairs, the garage, whatever I come into contact with, because there's, right, whether I have to buy wood or not, which I may have to, okay, I'm just saying, because that was taken away from me. There's things I have to put away because when they did the house, something that my landlord should have done years ago, but it wasn't. And it's done now, though, in terms of filling up all the little gaps so that the little mice can't crawl in through the window frame because there's a big-ass gap all the way around the frame. That should be all foamed up by now, so I will double-check, make sure, because that's what I'm paying for, is to keep the mice out, right? And so whatever was put up against the house needs to be put back. I have to put things back inside to the cold room. I have to do this before the weather breaks, and the weather is breaking. It's getting cooler. It's going to start raining soon. So whatever they think that they're going to get out of me, it's not going to happen. And even if I had that time to do that, it has to be on my time, because I'm not going to give away any more of my stuff that's been robbed from me, because this is just another form of theft. And that's why I would go to the MLA office, because people think they can just come into your house, use their level of authority, even though they're half your age. Okay? I'm dealing with people that are half my age that could not wash 10 loads of laundry in a wringer washer on a Saturday. You get up, you start washing at 8 o'clock in the morning, and by the time you're done at 8 o'clock at night, you might get to rest. Okay? I was 10 years old doing that every Saturday. So don't treat me like I don't know what I'm doing today. We have special needs. In my last video that's converting over right now, you've seen what I do with my wash machine in my kitchen on a weekly basis when it comes to washing freaking pillows so that Amari has clean pillows to lay on and to pencil him in or to cushion a fall if he should happen to fall off a couch and he lands on a pillow if there's not something else there soft on the floor. And even if he did fall off the couch, it's not a very high drop compared to a bed in a bedroom. Right? You can't tell Andre to sleep in a bedroom that's going to make his nose bleed because it's so hot and dry just because. If he wants time for himself, he can go downstairs. I'm just saying, right? He gets a lot of time for himself because the only time I'm really in the living room myself is when I'm cleaning it, disinfecting it, in terms of wiping things down because of the, pee seeping through the blanket, and then I'm doing cushions, right? Or when I'm sleeping. That's it. I sleep to work. So yeah, I'll go to the MLA office and I'll ask them to help me to write a timeline as to how I'm being gang-stalked by different government agencies, municipality and provincial, right? At this point, right? Just because there's an ulterior motive in there that is, and I'm guaranteeing it's connected to the immigrant issue where they're the preferred tenant. Because there's, money around it. There's money. People get extra money to cater to them. They get extra perks.
Now, I'm not sure where he's getting that statistic. But if that is the case, that is absolutely insane. Now, this video does a really good job of explaining how this isn't about race. It's not about racism. It's who we're bringing in and what they're doing to the country. So I'm going to play this video. I want you to take a good look at it.
I already know what they're doing to the country, people. Many of them are mean. I've said it many times in the past throughout my videos. Telling me that I need that guy that came to the door, calling me this, calling me down. Even my landlord's son said I was lazy and I didn't do anything and I didn't work. I only worked in your mother's and father's yard for 14 years, 13 years, and gave up my freaking life. I have the videos to prove it, man. I spent money. I went around gathering up free stuff to build in, I put in drainage pipes in the backyard to solve the drainage problem back there, people. Like, who does that when they move in? Right? When you don't even know how to do that shit. But I figured it out, and I actually solved the problem. And did I get any thanks for it? No. I get called down. Do they care about me looking after Amari and what it requires for that? No, because they're not getting enough rent. Yeah, okay.
And then we're going to share it out. This came from the Blonde Bigot, by the way. Another good X account that I recommend people follow. Let's take a look.
Do you want to know why Indians are getting so much hate in Canada now? It's because more Indians have come to Canada in the last 5 years than the last 100 combined. And they're all coming as international students. Great, they're all studying.
More like the UN soldiers.
at schools that are legitimate? No. 94% are studying at community colleges and these diploma mills for...
Yeah, diploma mills, community colleges, and that was done through the BC Liberal government when they got elected in 2001 or whatever it was. They came in, they did the union busting. That was the first thing that they did. They wiped out all the janitors and the hospital cooking staff and cleaning staff, the lower end public union sector workforce, to a point where they lost a lot of their benefits, like the good old days, right? You work for the government for 25 years as a janitor, regardless of whether you're working in a hospital, in a school, at the parliament buildings. As long as you put in your 25 years of faithful service, you would get your pensions like Uncle John. No, not after the BC Liberal government got in. They took that all away. They busted up the union. They made it so that people weren't getting those benefits through their services over a period of years, right? And then they brought in the immigrants to fill in the gaps so that they would work without complaining about no benefits. Yeah, that's what happened.
Certificates like Anderson College, that used to be a Walmart, and then they made it into some diploma mills, or Candor College.
Oh yeah, and then what institutions, I don't know, they took institutions, changed, they did something with the legislation, and they took an institute, like a educational institution, and because they had changed this is the BC Liberal government back in like 2001, 2, 3, and 4, and 5, right, and around that time period when they first got in, as they were union busting, demoting everybody down to a basic paycheck with no pension plans, with no long-term pension plans or benefits for faithful service of 25 years, right? Because they knew they were going to be bringing in an immigrant workforce that would work for, let's say, half of what Canadians at that time were making. They also took some sort of institutions and then changed the name of the institution, the educational institution, put the word college to it, so that through propaganda they could tell the public that they created, we'll just say, 9 new colleges since they were elected, when in fact they never built not one brand new building to create a college. They just took other institutions that were somehow connected to the educational system and tweaked whatever it was that gave them the right to be a educational institution by adding in the word college, so that they could go out into the public and say, look, we created 9 new colleges in the province of British Columbia, Canada, because we're putting cash into the educational system for our students. When in fact, most of the students that access those quote-unquote new and improved colleges, which are nothing but old institutions, some old educational institution, I don't know what the hell, I don't know how they did it. All I know is they took buildings, put the word college in front of them, changed something on the books, and that became a college. When in fact they didn't build anything. They didn't build no new colleges. They didn't really hire new teachers and professors and all that other crap. It was one big fat lie. But what it did is it opened up the door for these immigrants to come in and tap in so that they could get their diplomas from these colleges that were created on paper through legislation, but were not actually colleges in the traditional sense of a college.
We're just literally connected to an Indian restaurant that's graduated over 45,000.
Yeah, it was some sort of college that was connected to an Indian restaurant that already graduated 45,000. Where's my finger? 45,000 Punjabis. There's the turban. Yeah.
Indian students, and also there's another college beside it, Stanford.
Stanford. Okay, so that sounds kind of like up in the upgrade of a college, but what happened with this one? Now, this was in a different province. I don't think this is British Columbia, Canada, but they did this shit all across Canada.
Where they are, somebody is going to Stanford. No, not the one.
Not the...
in California, the one in Brampton, or top Brampton.
So we've seen this
okay, I didn't miss that.
a lot. In fact, Pierre Poilievre's talked about this, that these schools need to be shut down, that people are getting fast-tracked for citizenship. Rebel News did an amazing expose in the Maritimes last year where they spoke with somebody who was grayed out over camera, showing their India passport and then talking about how as soon as they get off the plane, they're immediately taken to these schools or offices to work on getting their citizenship so that, again, they can vote, they can buy homes, they can stay.
Yeah, they can vote, which becomes a lobbyist group. They lobby as a collective to the provincial governments to properly develop, kick out people out into the streets so they can stimulate the economy because they're all such hard workers and they're all so highly educated. Oftentimes, they're not, though. They're not that highly educated in terms of what we're led to believe, okay? And that's just a fact, right? You have to be careful who you sign up with when it comes to services sometimes. Because, and that's not just pointing fingers at Punjabis either. It could be somebody from, an Islamic state in terms of like an Irani or a Syrian or someplace like that. And because they're so highly haughty, they put their self-worth first on their religious beliefs. And then, of course, their ethnic heritage as a collective group. Birds of a feather flock together. So with those two, they become a powerhouse in their brain where they think they're superior above everybody else that they're, putting their nose down, right? And that's why they have no problem coming to your door and saying, get rid of everything. That's why they have no problem coming to your door saying, well, you're just a piece of crap. You just sit there and do nothing, and I'm the one that builds the buildings that make the economy run, not you, right? In terms of that guy that wanted the water so that he can do something as he's kicking out people out onto the street, calling them trash. And chomping at the bit, waiting to buy this house so he can repeat the process, so he can get rich, brag to his friends, and then network with the underground economy, with the illegal organ harvesting and other body parts aspect of it. Because that's exactly what's going on. Poor people don't buy organs, but people with money do. Right? There's a supply and there's a demand.
Their temporary foreign work is no longer temporary.
College, where when you go on Google Street View, it was literally a mechanic shop 1 year ago. What is this school?
So Stanford College was a mechanic shop. It just had the title on it. I told you, whatever the BC Liberal government did out here, just changed names. They took a name of something and just put college in front of it to say that they could created 9 colleges in 2 years in the province of British Columbia, Canada, to fill the need of the Canadian people. But it had nothing to do with the Canadian people. No, it had to do with whatever scheme that we're in with right now with these immigrants coming in en masse, where they can put 12 into a house, kick out the tenants so they can put 12 into the house so the landlords get rich. Well, the landlords are running around saying, well, don't worry about the white trash. Don't worry about the black trash. Don't worry about the ones that don't like to work like the natives, because we've got all these young people coming in from India, mainly from Punjab, especially if you're living in a Punjabi community, or I suppose Hindu, because those are the two predominant ones that come from India that hold the most wealth in freaking British Columbia, Canada, and as Punjabis are the number one that's running the show here. I can tell you that right now, in line with the Chinese, and then maybe the Hindus, and then you've got the Muslims with the Syrians and the Iraqians, and with their little network of God knows what. You know, right? Everybody else below them is just garbage. So they have no problem telling you to get rid of all your shit, because they're so strong that they've lobbied the government and corrupted the government to the point where the government themselves won't protect you from the onslaught of gang stalking that comes from different areas. So yeah, if these social workers want to take it to the next freaking level, then I need to go to that MLA office. I'm going to tell them, now I've got the freaking MCFD on my back, and this is what's happening, and now they want me to get rid of stuff on the inside, and they don't have no right to do that. This is the last little bit that I own. How dare you? I've been in this house for 15 freaking years. I've put up with nothing but nonsense from person to person to person, whether it's within my own family unit or from people from your department, like what they did with Sierra and when they threw her out and those people that were involved, right? I'm just using that as an example. Not to mention Uncle John being medically kidnapped, not to mention Shimei being murdered, yada yada yada, right? And now you guys want to just stamp home and put the freaking nails on the coffin? And expect me just to lay there and say, yeah, say la vie, no problem, ass. I'll just lay here in this coffin and wither away? No, I'm going to go to the MLA office and I'm going to ask them to help me to write out the freaking timeline as I figure out how I can get to a bloody courthouse and do something. And do something. I sleep to get up and fucking work, man. I'm not going to have my grandkids in a bedroom baking like an... Forget about baking. They'll be like broiled in that bedroom. And for Amari to be caged in. For Andre to get more nosebleeds because it's so hot in that room. Saying, Nana, can I come out now? I haven't done anything wrong. Why you got me grounded in the bedroom? I want it to be like the good old days, where we're together and we feel safe when we love each other. Is it easy looking after Amari? Never said it was. Do you want to go off and wash 2 to 3, 4 pillows? 2 to 3, 4 pillows every week? Would you want to do that and wash? I don't know. How many blankets a week do you think we wash? Andre?
2 to 1.
No, blankets.
Oh, blankets.
Yeah.
Every month.
Huh? No, every week. How many blankets do you think we wash? We wash the blue blanket. We wash the white blanket. We wash the yeah, every week. Every week. So I've got 2 big ass fluffy, like they're big. And they're very, they have a good pile on them. They're thick. I wash those every week. That's 2. We've got a white one and a blue one. That's 4. And then we've got a whole bunch of little ones. You can probably throw in 3 or 4 there. So we'll say 8. And then we wash towels because of this leaking crap. Okay? Every week. And we're doing anywhere between 2. I washed pillows yesterday. I have to wash pillows again tomorrow. Okay, so I wash anywhere from 4 to 6 pillows a week with 8 blankets, different sizes a week, not including the towels. Because sometimes we'll put a blanket and then a towel, and right, and then he leaks. Okay? Just saying. And then I have to wash the cushions after a while. Yeah. And I'm like, holy shit, I don't know. Like, when I get to the point where I'm gonna, be on the, I don't want to ruin the mattress. When he was on the mattress in the bedroom before, that was already starting the leaking part because he was getting bigger, right? And I was wiping down the mattress. Right now the mattress is okay. When we get to a point where we actually got a mattress on a floor with the bean bags, I mean, obviously I'm going to have a mattress cover that can't be penetrated to leak, right, to what's underneath in terms of the mattress itself. And I'm going to need more than one mattress cover. Right? And I'm going to probably be changing that 3 times a week. Not including washing the pillows and the blankets as he moves around. Especially if we can't fatten him up. Because that's the biggest problem, is because we can't fatten him up. There's those gaps, even like when the diapers, even if you double diaper them, put on a rubber, they're not a rubber pant, but they're kind of like a rubber pant. It doesn't matter. He takes a pee, it's a strong force, and it leaks in through the seams of like where the leg meets. Because, he moves his leg, and then you get a little gap in there, and that's all it takes, people. That's all it takes. But it doesn't warrant being locked up into a metal cage. Oh, I'm sorry, metal crib. It doesn't warrant being drugged up to control his movements so he doesn't, spread that around where you have extra laundry. No, we let him move around. We give him freedom. We don't get angry at him if he leaks out and, oh, Jesus Christ, Andre, I just washed this blanket yesterday. Why is it starting to smell like pee again? Because, you can start to smell it, especially when the house is hot. That's because he was laying on it, and when he peed on it, whatever that leaked through went onto the blanket. So the next day I'm washing, putting a new clean one. That's why I end up washing 8 blankets in a week. And if I don't wash them like on regular and I've got them in bags, oh yeah, it can take time to play catch up. But I do it. So they can't say that I'm not doing it. And they want to pay somebody else $4,000 to go off and do what? Dope them up, put them on a feeding tube, and put them in a padded crib so they can say they're doing a better freaking job? Yeah, okay. As they emotionally bankrupt Andre and put him onto the streets, one way or another, suicidal, so they can bring in their programs and say, let us help you? Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. So the Punjabis can take over the country and call us white trash and black trash and treat us that way so that they can harvest our organs as we die, because some of them are, because there's an organized criminal group connected to this people. This is not what they don't talk about that though. Hell no. They're just surface scratching with this shit.
What are these schools? I'm genuinely asking. Why are you coming to these schools? Or Sunview College, which is connected to some bar.
Which is connected to some what? Yeah, because they just put the word college so they could write in the books that they created 9 colleges or 11 colleges in the province of British Columbia in Canada, when in fact they weren't real colleges. Because I used to watch the debate with Uncle John on that one, people. We'd actually watch the BC debate, the budget debate, and just everything between the NDP and the BC Liberal government when they were trying to pass this legislation to do this. And the NDP was livid that they were doing this. But of course, it didn't stop the BC Liberal government from doing it, because they wanted the bragging rights that they created all these colleges. And it was just a charade. It was a sham to funnel and traffic the UN soldiers into Canada as students.
Places like Lamberton College, which is connected to Queen's College, which God knows what that is. This is where the students were protesting because they failed all their classes. I don't know how dumb you have to be to fail classes at a diploma mill. I showed you like 5. There are 800. There are 800 of these just in Ontario.
There are 800 of those just in Ontario. All I know is what happened when I was watching those debates. We probably got a whole lot more quote-unquote colleges out here since 2001, 2, and 3, and whenever all that crap was starting. right? But now they got 800 of these fake colleges just because they have the word college on them in Ontario.
I don't know about the other provinces. I'm Toronto born and raised, and every brown kid I grew up with went to either U of T, York, or Ryerson. All right? What the f*** is this? What are these schools? But the whole stereotype was, are you going to be a doctor, engineer, or lawyer?
Yeah, and that's like my landlady, you know, a couple years back, sitting on my steps, telling me that white people don't want to go to work. Yeah, white people don't want to go to work, and that the Punjabis, they go to school to be doctors, lawyers, teachers, right? And because of that, she didn't want Andre to go talk to the little neighborhood girls that just moved in from next door because she thought they were Punjabi, which they weren't, they were Caesarean. But my landlady thought they were Punjabi and told Andre to come back away from the fence and not talk to those little girls because their parents would get upset. And I said, why would you say that, Mrs. Gill? Like, that's not right. You know, he's excited to have a little playmate next door, some kids to talk to his age, because they were looking like about the same age as Andre, right, in terms of height and that type of thing. She goes, oh, because we don't allow our girls to intermingle with other boys, right? Mainly boys that are not Punjabi, right? Because we teach our kids to focus on school so they can grow up and be, you know, doctors, lawyers, and teachers, because everybody else around them that aren't like them in terms of Punjabi don't like to work. That's what she said to me. And she was in her 80s by that point. And this is the attitude that they have. That's why they have no problem coming to your door saying, gimme, gimme. If you say no, they say, well, to hell with you, you piece of white trash. You're just lazy. You're a welfare bum. You don't work. Get the fuck out, because if I don't get you out, I'm going to make sure someone like me at some point is going to kick your ass out. And once you're out on the streets, you deserve what you get because you did it to yourself. You made bad choices. Yeah, okay. And well, the social workers don't want to acknowledge that. Clearly, it's presented to them right now. Well, what's going to happen when if this is what you're treating me like now in this house, saying it's not, what's going to happen when I move with even less space? Be in a more vulnerable position. Maybe have a whole whack of mice in my house. What you going to do? Huh? Come and take Amari for the third frickin' time? Assuming I can get him back the first time if he doesn't die in your care? Because if he dies, it's no big deal, people, because they just cash and profiteering on the body parts. Right? There's bodies are more valuable dead than they are alive. There's no loss to them if Mari dies. It's just another kid. Oh well, c'est la vie. Right?
Now it's, I want to be Uber Eats, DoorDash, or Lyft. India has some of the smartest people on the planet. I'm not even Indian. You know who taught me AP Calculus? A random Indian man on YouTube. We're not getting these geniuses, right? We're literally getting deep rural villagers. That's why they're studying at these fake schools. Because they would never qualify for permanent residence without a little standing. Which is why the highest number of asylum seekers in Canada were international students from India. Illegal border crossings into the United States. Only Indian international students. These dudes that are protesting in tents for PR when they went to these fake diploma mills. Never seen before. Only Indians. Have you ever seen job lineups for minimum wage that circle around the block? Millions, literally millions of villagers to compete with high school and college kids for jobs. That's why people are talking about pooping on beaches. Indians have been here forever. Never heard about pooping on beaches until now. Villagers. And you have these dudes dancing. Why are you dancing? And you constantly hear the exact same complaint. You know, sir, we are paying more than the Canada student. Indian international student paying double. Well, no Canadians are going to these schools, right? These are just Indian international students going to schools that only take Indians. And anytime you call out any of their oh, you hate us because you hate.
Yeah, and that's true. As soon as you call them out, they become the victims, and then they find ways to retaliate. That's what makes it dangerous with what I do, because I do call them out. Because I'm disappointed that they didn't have the fortitude, the love for humanity, to take their collective. It's not a privilege. It's not a right. It's not a gift. But it's something they should be grateful for. To show strong leadership. To bring in better, I don't want to call them safety nets, but a better standard of living for the people within the jurisdictions that they live in. Being that there's so many of them and they become the majority, even though they like to play the minority card, especially when they become so-called victims, because people are calling them out on their corruption, wherever that corruption may be. So, because they can't show strong leadership, where we can have more balance in this society, where there's not such a predatory behavior against the most vulnerable, where our families become injured and harmed and or murdered and or whatever at the hands where they profiteer from it. Like I said, energy weapons were on this freaking property before I moved in. Otherwise, my camera would never have captured it. So who's getting paid to allow these energy weapons to be used as an experimental tool to see how the body reacts to them when somebody's working in the yard and happens to get shot up by one of them? And you know I've been shot up a few times with energy weapons because I have it documented with them going through my yard. And they're not just one type, they're various types. So who's benefiting from that? Somebody's getting paid to allow that shit to happen. It just didn't randomly, wasn't just random. That's all done through electricity and electronics and technology, right? It's not, these are not ghosts. These are man-made instances where, you know, people like me who are unsuspecting are being used as test subjects to see how well our bodies can adapt to being zapped through these various types of energy weapons. That's what I mean by corruption. Okay? Is it the city that's doing it? Is it the provincial government that's doing it? Is it my landlords that are doing it because they made a, you know, they cut a deal, right, so that people can come onto the property and set up the equipment where you don't notice it's there, so they can run the experiment. I'm just using that as an example. I mean, as long as it makes you money, what do you care if somebody gets fried, right? Especially if you see yourself as superior above them, right? And being that everybody seems to think they're superior, why more reason to do it, right? Because it's all about living a long and prosperous life for yourself first before anybody else. And that's where I'm disappointed. For as strong as they are as a collective within their ethnic group, regardless of their religion, if they all could come together and show leadership where we actually can all live somewhat peacefully and have a chance to be prosperous, especially for those that try, you know what I'm saying, right? Then I'd probably have more respect. But when you got people coming to your door and saying, get rid of everything, or I'm coming back, don't worry, you're just a lousy bum, it won't be long before your ass is out in the street. Let me finish with this house down here first, and as soon as that one's done, I'm coming for your house, bitch. You know, right? You should have gave me that water because I'm your master, even though you're not even half the age I am, but because my forefathers 100 years ago kept your asses out on the fucking water and wouldn't let you come into Canada until you lobbied the federal government to get your asses in here. And once you got your asses in here, obviously you had a pole up it, because it's been like slum landlord after slum landlord after slum landlord as you build your monster houses and gain mass wealth and then turn around and still call us trash. Yeah, as we live in your slum houses. And now we're being forced out onto the streets to be roadkill. As you point fingers at us and say that we deserved it. But yet, you gotta go to fake colleges to get freaking, what do you call that? Diplomas, so that you can brag among yourselves how you're doctors, lawyers, and teachers.
Us, you know, you're jealous of the Indian. Google CEO is Indian. Well, the Google CEO went to Stanford and Palo Alto, all right? You went to the fake Stanford in Brampton. You're not the same.
Quick question for MS.
Okay.
This video nails it on the head. It's villagers. You're bringing in...
It's not just villagers, though. Dr. Barr was a gynecologist where he had his own operating team that is paid by the taxpayers of British Columbia, Canada, who illegally took out my daughter's organs, Shimei Chorney, in a smash and grab act that made him hundreds of thousands of dollars and a whole bunch of friends. More friends than he had before, because he's got the goods as the bodies come into the hospital. And he was Punjabi, an elderly man with his long beard starting to turn gray, with his big ass turban on his head. He was not a villager.
The bottom of the barrel into the country. This is where we've talked about vetting before and why it's so important.
Well, if that's the case, based on what this dude is saying, it's only as a smoke screen. It's only as a smoke screen to give cover to the real crooks within that ethnic group to move among the masses of Punjabis unnoticed, so that they can continue to commit heinous crimes against innocent families such as myself. Yeah. If you've got 10,000 Punjabis all running around, they're not all crooks. And if you want to broad sweep and say they're all villagers with limited brain capacity when it comes to cognitive this and cognitive that, no, I don't think so. I think you got 10,000 Punjabis, or maybe 8,000 of them, or 9,000 of them, are just your average Joes that came from villages, where the other 1,000 are straight up criminals and are in deep with organized crime that lobbies the government through the exploitation of the other 9,000 Punjabis that are unaware of what the other 1,000 is doing. Because Punjabis will traffic Punjabis if it can make them money, if they're scoundrels. Or at least through these colleges, they get the bragging rights as to how smart they are as a collective group, when in fact that's not true. Yeah.
This is a lot of the hate that Donald Trump got when he was talking about, we need to build a wall, okay? And it's going to be a big, beautiful wall. It's going to have a door that you come through, and people are going to come here legally. Sorry, I had to do the Trump. I love doing the Trump for you guys. He got a lot of heat when he was talking about the illegal immigration coming into the country, that they have to vet who comes in. They have to know who's coming into their country. And this man covers it very well in this video.
Yeah, but it doesn't really matter, though, if the criminal organization is already in place before these people get here. And I'm going to use Dr. Barr as another example. You got a Punjabi doctor coming in from Punjab that wants to come to Canada so he can get wealthy, because there would be no other reason outside of maybe heat. But he's willing to walk away from his own people, let them wallow in whatever it is that's going on in Punjab, enough so that he's got to come over here and start his own little Palestine state, right? With the Celts of this and Celts of that. You know, their own little India, Punjab, India, right? And he's a educated doctor. All he needs to do is come over here and hook up with Dr. Barr. Now you got 2 doctors cruising the halls looking for body parts that they can harvest illegally. Well, all the workers in the hospital, when it comes to those grunt workers, the kitchen staff, the laundry staff, the janitors, you know, yada yada, the people that are working in records, the people that are basically, you know, just whatever. The majority of them are all immigrants, all, to one degree or another. They're not all Punjabi, but they're all basically immigrants to working visas. I don't know, but they're just immigrants. Right? 95% of the workforce in our hospitals are immigrants, right? I mean, they just fit right into the fray, and because the criminal organization already is in play, they already have access to the tax dollars to take out organs from people like Shmay. They already have tax dollars, being paid their wages to take out organs like Shmay, right? So adding in another doctor that comes in from Punjab with 9,000 hiding that fact that the doctor isn't as prestigious as we like to think they are. They're actually criminals hooking up with criminals in a different country so that they can continue to lobby their government by drawing on those other 9,000 Punjabis that are, from the village, so they have the number, the voting block, to influence the government to do this or whatever, so that they have more freedom to take out more body parts without being caught. And even if they get caught, well, we're at the point now, the government just covers it up and hides it. Like they did with Shmay. What happened to Shmay warranted a full investigation, and Dr. Barr should be debarred and sent back to India for committing heinous crimes against the Canadian people. But that's not what's happening here, people. No. These little immigrants coming in from the village, they're just the smokescreen and the voting block, so that the bigger criminals within that ethnic group can navigate within society without being noticed. And even if they get caught, they got their bases covered because they're so ingrained and in bed with the corrupt government because they themselves corrupted the government. They don't have to worry because they know the government will protect them. And that's why they have no problem throwing out tens of thousands of people out into the streets, including my family, with do-gooder social workers showing up at the door, trying to make themselves look important because they can boss you around and threaten you with this and threaten you with that, but yet they can't come with a solution how you can protect your family from the predators in our society outside of leaving the country. Because it's not like you can go to a different province, because you heard this guy say they have 800 fake colleges in Ontario because of what's going on. With Canada becoming India. The second India. Don't be surprised in 100 years if there is no such thing as Canada, assuming that we're still living, and they'll just put the word India. Because India, in certain parts, is burning up. Because they cut down all their trees. And now they're out here cutting down all the trees. So they can make money. As they traffic human beings. Whether it's their own people, those villagers, as a smokescreen for the Dr. Bars that are either here now in the country or coming into the country. right? Or where they are trafficking people like my family. And insult us as they do it.
When he says, look, people who came in that wanted to be doctors, that wanted to be lawyers, that actually wanted to get educated. When we talk about the temporary foreign work program, that's just a masking for bringing in people that are subpar for Canada and allowing them loopholes to escape through the system in order to go on a welfare state. This is why you have unqualified Indian truck drivers. This is why our youth can't get any jobs. This is why things can't move forward in our country, and people can't afford homes, people can't do it. These guys all live 16, 17, 18 people in a house. And
I said that, and I've been saying it for years. Okay? They're the UN soldiers because they go out in the community and they demolition house after house after house if they're not starting to dig holes and disrupt the ground, right? You know what I'm saying? Flood the neighborhood with their construction or whatever else it is they do. Take over the Walmarts, take over the Canadian superstores, take over the freaking drugstores, take over the gas stations, take over all the fast food restaurants. I mean, how many jobs are there out there when, right? There aren't, like, it's just, oh.
Can afford a $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 house, $1 million home when they're all working at McDonald's. They don't mind because they've been brought into Canada to, as this guy says, poop on the beaches, behave like vagrants. It gets worse than that, and the quality of people is something we have to show. This happened in Toronto. If you think that I'm saying, hey, you're just a racist guy, you don't
Indian man gets called out for taking piss on someone's store on Bloor in Toronto.
Understand Indian culture. You don't understand. We're giving them the lottery of life. Look at this. Indian man gets called out for taking a piss on somebody's store in Toronto.
Like, there's outside, there's plenty of places, and you chose to pee right there. Just right there in front of me. I want to see this. You know you're weird for that, right?
So there's part of the problem. I'm not going to make you guys continue to watch this, but here's part of the problem. The guys who have their phones that go and immediately pull it out and they say, hey, enough is, like, oh, I got to see this. You know you're weird for that, right, bro? Put your phone down and go smack the guy in the head and say, you don't do this in my country. Get the hell out of here. Everybody's so quick to get on their phones and record it, and rightfully so. We wouldn't have that content, and I know people are probably already typing in the chat, hey man, you wouldn't have it if that guy didn't pull out his phone. I'd rather not have the content and not have to deal with this in our country. Go give the guy a smack and tell him, stop it. If you want to behave like that, go back to your shithole that you came from.
What if I told you that?
Oh my Lord. Okay, and I'm not being racist here, people. I'm being a realist that is 63 years old, have been around people from India, whether Hindu people with their religion or Punjabis with their religion, okay, because they're the two most predominant, right, that came into Canada off the boats and started to make their settlements, right? All right. So now, in regards to what's going on with these social workers, I'm just going to let them know, you know, first of all, go get yourself a wringer washer machine. Go gather up 10 separate loads of laundry, wash them, hang dry them, fold them up after you've done all that on a Saturday, and then really come back and tell me what I need to do after you've done that. Because I've been working like a dog, really, since I've been like a child. I started cleaning up after my mom's parties when I was 8 years old, right? When she didn't want me in the house, she'd say, go play. I'd go to the ocean. I'd be out at the ocean off of Dallas freaking breakwater, and I'd run the breakwater, and I'd run along the rocks and everything when the tide was out, or if the tide was in, it wouldn't matter. I'd play with the freaking little bullfish and the sea stars and all those little things in the little you know, because the tide would go out, so you'd get these little pockets of stuff in there that had the, you know, you'd stick your finger in it and it would be open like this, and you'd stick your finger in it and it would close, right? Or there'd be starfish in there and clams and mussels and little bullfrogs. And I used to catch those things. I used to play out there for hours and hours and hours and hours by myself when I wasn't in the house cleaning up after my mom, okay? And her parties with people from India. Because oftentimes she'd party with them. Because I remember seeing them. Whether they were the landlords or not, I don't know. I just know she'd be partying with them. And I'd be the one getting up in the morning having to clean up after them. Okay? And then do laundry all day long on a Saturday with a wringer washer. And then she surprised me one day and came home with a Hoover that had a wash tub, and then you put all the clothes into the tub on that side where it would spin out the water. And then you take it out, and then you drain the tub, put the clothes back into the tub to rinse them, and then put them in the spinner to spin out the water versus going through the wringer. Okay? I don't think these women have ever even seen those kind of washing machines. Never mind use them. I have priorities. The priority is the yard right now, people. The morning glory before it turns to algae, okay? And I'm going to tell them that it is what it is. And I got porch repairs I have to do. There's a repair I have to do on the greenhouse. I have to gut, and well, the hen house is already gutted, but it needs to be cleaned so I can put some things away before the rains come and winter sets in. That's what I need to do. But I'm going to go downstairs today, though. I'm going to go downstairs today. And I'm going to have my son just help me get out this, and I'm going to bring down the camera. That will be the next video. And I'm going to take out this little wall closet, right? That's like made from IKEA or a place like that. And James next door, DJ James, he gave me a bit for it, so I'm going to unscrew it. I'm going to take it apart, and I'm going to give it to him so that he can have it, give it to somebody else, whatever. And, you know, I'm not going to worry about the food down there, none of this crap. I'm just going to get the wall open. I'm going to tell my son we're going to think about what we're going to put there. I've got another shelf that he needs to brace so that we can use that for food as we organize what we're going to, you know, so that we can use it over the next, who knows how long I'm going to live here for, considering what's going on. Seriously. Right? To cut back on the food bills so that he can get caught up with his bills, so I can get caught up with my bills, so that both of us at some point can move, whether he moves out first with Marina because she's pregnant and they want to get on with their married life, or whether I move out because I want to get on with my married life, or whether we end up sharing a place where it's conducive, where it's not interrupting Marina's life and it's not interrupting my life, but everybody's working as a team so that we can afford higher rent with the right amount of space for Amari's needs, with the right amount of people keeping an eye on him because of his needs, which all end up becoming special circumstances. So that's what I'm going to tell these social workers when they come on Thursday. You know, you're going to come back next week and you're going to see me on the porch working. You're going to see me in the garage working. You're going to see me in the yard working. Oh, sure, what little is in the hall, I'll make sure that's out of the way, but it's not going to change anything. It's not going to affect anything. It's not going to make anything better. What's going to make it better is when I move into a new location with a fresh start. But that ain't going to happen anytime soon because our government has made it impossible to get a fresh start. What you get is locked in to a prison where you're enslaved to work for the landlord just so that you have a place to live, because if you don't do the work at the request of what they tell you to do, they will threaten to kick you out, and if they can't kick you out because they have no reason to do it, they will find a way to do it by using a yard as an example to build a case, because there's profit around it. They'll get a new family, new UN soldiers, new, to work in the yard, feel inspired, feel free. This is Canada, hope and prosperity. And they'll be paying through their noses while they do it, but it's not a big deal to them because many of them are already subsidized by the government, and that's what these landlords know. And that's why they have no problem doing it, in terms of kicking out families like mine. And if these social workers want to play dirty pool with me and make it say, well, no, that's not what we want. We want you to open up the door and make it so that you can have an empty bed so that if Andre wants to sleep in it, he can. Yeah, okay, sure. As if that's going to solve any of our problems. Well, the city is stocking the yard because I'm too busy doing something that I can't do at this point because it's impossible, whatever they think they're going to try and tell me to do. Not that even anything that Andre and I want, right? They're both, look at the time. Look at the time, 6:08 in the morning. Are you awake?
Yeah, so
Amari is still awake, chilling, staying quiet, hanging out with Andre, feeling safe, feeling comfortable. He's changed, he's fed, he's close to Andre, and he's happy, and he's awake. Well, Andre's just chilling on his computer, building his badge. And I'm sitting here doing this, having panic attacks about doing the right thing that I need to do in order for my family to have a home to live in, being that social workers can't provide us no escape from a nightmare outside of adding on to it. So I can't be afraid to face them, and if I have to go to the MLA office to do it and say, look, this is what's going on, I need somebody, I'll pay, I don't care, I'll pay. If I have to, I'll find somebody to write it out for me, and I'll tell the fucking timeline, and they can write it out for me, and then I'll drop it off at the freaking MLA office. If the MLA office assistant can't help me to write it out. Because I don't got time to sit there and write it out right now, people. But I've got the history, I've got the story, I've got the proof. And then I'll go to the courthouse and I'll go talk to a duty counselor to find out what the hell I can do to protect my family. Period. I don't care if it's Andre, I don't care if it's Mari, I don't care if it's freaking Marcane or Marina. They're my family. I'm tired of this gang stalking shit for politics. So people can get rich off our body parts as we fall through the cracks because we can't keep up with the mayhem that these people create because they're, I don't know. Okay. So I have a plan.
Problem. Table Salt tweeting out another home invasion in Ontario. They allegedly ran into a 29-year-old female.
When you come to my house, I don't care who you are, and you tell me I'm a piece of fucking shit and that I don't work, and that I'm a lazy white trash bum, and that I deserve to be treated like garbage and abused because I can't pay enough this or do enough that, then yeah, that's like a home invasion. That's the precursor to a home invasion. And then you lobby the government to have your government workers to come in and, stoke the fire, right? To get the family even more scared, more derailed, more frustrated, more feeling suicidal, more just everything negative. What are these women doing for me that's making me feel positive? Nothing. They're putting so many whips on my back that I have to choose my battles, and my battles right now, I'm telling you people, is the yard, because I was getting into the yard before they showed up. I was taking care of business so that my family had a house to live in over the winter without being gang-stalked by a bunch of fucking Punjabis that can barely speak English who work for the city of Surrey looking for another house to benefit and profiteer off of once they get rid of the old tenant. Doesn't matter if they're moving in the students, aka UN soldiers, 12 at a time, or a Syrian family, or an Iraqi family, or even a Ukrainian family for that matter. There's kickbacks to it on a federal, provincial, and municipal level. And YouTube wants to shadow ban that shit. As they promote their hate fest with all these so-called content creators that got nothing to say outside of what they can pull up on other people's channels, whether it's on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, wherever they get these little videos from. where people are crying out, telling their stories, asking for help, whatever it is. And all they do is use it as a tool to mock, to belittle, to degrade, to conquer and divide, to build in arrogance where arrogance shouldn't be there, so that they themselves, the so-called quote-unquote YouTube content creator, can make money and support themselves and elevate themselves to be better than everybody else. Yeah.
Female's car, kidnapped her by throwing her in a van, stole her keys.
Okay, so how is this guy any different than what I did with the last video? Well, maybe he's not, but he's bringing in more narrative where he is discussing social issues that are systemic right across Canada, that is affecting millions of lives who happen to be Canadian born, where we are losing our lives, where we are losing our homes, where we are losing our children to the streets and to the do-gooders, the handlers on the streets, who will eventually lure our children to early deaths and profiteer with body part harvesting and snuff movies to repeat the cycle for the next generation of individuals who will be targeted, which will probably be a whole lot of those villagers who are not highly educated or aware of what walks among them, even though they're expected to lobby for the Dr. Bars because he's a doctor and he's a Punjabi and he's an elderly man. You gotta respect your elders with those long white ass freaking beards because they know what they're doing. Oh yeah, he's a Punjabi. It doesn't matter whether he's a good one or a bad one. Just go stand by him when it comes time to lobby the government, because we need that voting block so that we can continue to be scoundrels in the community when nobody's looking, because there's so many of you that they couldn't recognize us even if they wanted to. Well, I recognize them. I've seen them face to face. That's the difference. But you don't see me sitting up on here beating up on poor mothers, poor fathers, poor families, because they're losing their housing and they can't afford to feed their kids because a corrupt government is pulling out the rug underneath their feet, cutting them off of fucking welfare in the middle of winter, like the BC Liberal government did to me in 2003 with 5 dependent children and a blind man. Why would I cast stones on them going through what they're going through today when I've already been through it? And I'm still, to this day, being harassed by those kind of people, because somewhere in there in that Ministry of Children and Family Development, there are kickbacks to harassing my family and derailing us even on an emotional level, where we start making more and more mistakes so they can put their little fingers into Andre and start triggering him to act out on whatever it was that they put into his brain when they took him the first time, which was an illegal act. And now they're going for Amari? And the best that they can do is give him a cage? I'm sorry, a metal crib? That's padded? And even then, they have to drug him up to control his movements? Because if he pulls down the padding, because you know he will, he's my little Houdini baby, then what? He hits his head on the metal rail? Oh God, they wouldn't want that to happen. But even if it did, it's okay. It's an easy cover-up. Amari died. Well, how did he die? Well, I don't know. He did something in the crib to himself. He did it all to himself. It was all his fault. Well, can I see the autopsy report? No, because he was in our care. Can I get an independent autopsy so I can figure out for myself with an honest freaking, pathologist to tell me what happened to my grandson before we close this case? No, because that's illegal. You can't do that because it says right here in the legislation there are no independent autopsies in the province of British Columbia, Canada. And besides, he's in our care, so even if you could, you're not going to be allowed to do it. Well, what happened to his body? Well, what difference does it matter? We cremated him. Yeah, okay. Do I believe that like I got a hole in my head? No. Do I believe Shimei's body is cremated in that urn that I got sitting up in my living room? No. I think she's part robotoid by now. Definitely her skin. They definitely took her freaking teeth. Her organs were pillaged the day 7 hours after they transported her dead body in a hammock with a perfusion machine on top of it. And that's why they used the hammock to take her body out. What happened to Sierra? Do I believe Sierra's in that freaking cement freaking tomb that they put her in with a coffin? No. I think they came in under the ground and they opened up their tomb and they took out the body and they did something else with it. Yeah, that's exactly what I think. And if it wasn't that, being that they scared us away before they even lowered that freaking casket into that tomb. For all I know, they picked up that casket and took it back to the hearse and drove off with it like the body snatchers that they are. Welcome to Canada, the new Congo. So why should they care if we get pushed out onto the streets? It only provides them an opportunity to harvest what they want without being caught. And even when they get caught, they've got the government in their back pocket through their lobbying groups. 10,000 Punjabis. 9,000 of them are villagers, and they're honest and they're hardworking people just trying to get away from a country that's burning up and provides no opportunity for themselves as individuals. So they come here believing in their leaders, but their leaders are corrupt. You see, that's the problem, people. Their Palestine fucking leaders are the Dr. Bars are corrupt. The ones that like to run the good business in the community, make you pay $1,900 for something that you can't even get a receipt for, are the ones that are corrupt. As they rob you blind and say that you deserved it because you were the problem. Well, if I was such a fucking problem, where were you helping me? It was your fucking yard in the first... Sorry, boo-boo yard in the first place. I begged you for 2 years to come and help me. Your mother stood there and seen all that freaking rotten wood out in the back, which came from your porch, and I asked her to help me. I asked her to help me with the fence with her son, and did she come back? No. And now the fence is falling down everywhere you look. And I'm paying for that rotten wood that came from her rotten porch. That was frozen water, saturated with rainwater that froze. And that's when they wanted my son to start filling up the freaking bin. Frozen, saturated, water-logged wood. And then they made me pay for water. After they stole my nonprofit shit by saying get rid of everything. There's your good business. There's your leaders. That's what those 9,000 villagers vote for. Because they're Punjabi. And they have to, because if they don't, they get, what is that? When you're a Catholic, expelled. If you don't vote for the Punjabi, and you're Punjabi, and the leaders in the Punjabi community say vote for this, if you don't vote for that, you get expelled from the Punjabi community. And those villagers, they vote. They vote. They're the voting bloc that controls the government, that covers up illegal organ harvesting, so they can continue to run their schemes within their rental market, where they target vulnerable families and do their experiments with their energy weapons. Huh? You know what I'm saying? So that everybody goes nuts inside because our brains are being fried. Or our bodies are being fried, but we don't understand why. But my camera does, because my camera caught the energy weapons that go through this house and outside. Okay? No denying it. But will the government look at it and acknowledge it as fact, even though it's a fact? No. They'll just call me scandalous, frivolous, and a waste of the court's time. Because they know I'm poor and I can't go out and spend $100,000 to get a lawyer, maybe two, to fight back. Where maybe we could get some justice. Well, everybody else is scrambling around looking for housing that they can't afford. As the social workers are spinning a wheel with a whole bunch of freaking names on it as to who they're going to target next. Oh, well, we haven't seen Judy for a couple of years. I think it's time to go check in on her. You know, get her all geeked up, get her scared, get her overworking, right? Put too many hurdles in front of her that she can't meet even though they're unreasonable. Don't listen to what she's got to say because it's our way or the highway, right? We got the upper hand, right? We're going to get what we want. It doesn't matter. Yeah, yeah. That's the difference.
Went to her home, shot her dad. This is out of control, and this guy's already out on bail. Tamara Leach and Chris Barber, by the way, might be going to jail for 7 to 8 years in less than 30 days. While these guys commit these crimes and get out on bail. Two-tier justice system in this country. You wouldn't want to be racist, would you? It gets even worse than that. Bowmanville, Ontario. Fatigue intensifies, says Ryan Gerritsen. Again, shout out to Ryan Gerritsen. I know people, it's becoming a common thing on this channel. Go follow Ryan Gerritsen. He's great. This was happening last year. They're in the waters taking our fish that are protected. They have no respect when they come to the country. Again, this goes back to the video that the first guy was talking about with villagers. You're bringing in the bottom of the barrel. We're just allowing them in. And there's no sense of pulling back. There's no reprieve from this behavior. What's worse now, and the reason I bring all of this up, because people are going to say, hey, Fringe, you talk about Indian migration all the time. We are about this stuff. Well, it's about to get significantly worse in this country because now you have these fart-huffing virtue signalers coming in from the schools and the colleges. And again, people are saying, well, why have we allowed Palestinian protests in our streets for so long? Why is it that the government allows them to block traffic on bridges? They bring them coffee, they sympathize, they allow them to threaten the police at their rallies, they allow them to block the streets in prayer. Nothing happens to them. Here's your answer. It's more virtue signaling to allow them to come in. Mark Carney is set to recognize Palestine as an independent state and has already said he plans to bring roughly 100,000 Palestinians into Canada. You have these fart-huffing virtue signalers.
Give yourself 28 days.
Oh, my Lord. Okay, so this is what's going to happen here. Andre's on the computer right now playing with his little friend Jude. Okay? Amari's just laying up on the couch on my side, hanging out with Andre, chilling with the boys. That's what's happening. Neither one of them want to go to sleep. Uncle Marquet is going to be up very soon if he's not up already. And I really don't want to go in there and... Andre, turn off the computer. Amari, go back to sleep. Everybody go to sleep now. Right? And then wake him up at 10 so that Amari can have his medicine. And that's assuming that they'd go back to sleep because as it is right now, they're not showing no interest in it. Okay. So, I'm going to take this opportunity to, as soon as I hear my son moving around, I'm going to tell him I'm coming downstairs and the big chore for the day, because I like to normally just pick one big chore. Even if it seems like it's a small chore, it's the big one, right? Out of the whole day in terms of laundry, dishes, cooking, cleaning, whatever. Right? And I'm going to get that closet unit out, which my son will have to move a couple of things. Just so that we can eyeball that. Andre, quiet. Quiet! Just so that we can eyeball that space and have a couple of days to think about what we're going to put in there when it comes to, quote-unquote, long-term food storage. Plus, I have a little shelf that I bought that would be good for some stacking of jars, right? But I'm not sure if I'm going to have room for it down there. I might have to put it in the playroom next to the deep freeze that I got. I have a stand-up deep freeze in the playroom, which beside it is just a bunch of homeschool stuff, right? Which I plan on selling or giving to Tisha or whatever, depending on what it is, right? And I can put the shelf there and stack home canned goods on that. So I'm not too sure what... Andre! Here we go again, 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'm, Andre, shut up, and I was talking. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get my son to make a little path for me so I can get that thing out, because I've got DJ James' screwdriver with that special little bit, and I don't want to keep it too long, so I'm going to take that thing apart, and then I'm going to give him that closet unit. It's a little, you'll see it, it's a little fabric thing, right? It's nothing fancy, but for him, maybe, it might work for him, for somebody else in the house. It's not a very... Now, in terms of any of the food down there, where I might donate some of it next door, in light of the number of people that go there that are hungry, based on economics, and are homeless, or on the verge of homelessness, but a large majority are already homeless. So, remains to be seen in terms of, because, it's not like I can afford to start giving away food, but we'll see what happens with that. If there's anything that I don't want that I think that somebody else might want, I might pass some that way. The problem with James's house, though, and I've been inside it over the years, long before he even moved in, here and there. But since, over a period of 14 years, 15 years, we're going into the 15-year mark. Quiet, what I've noticed is as soon as I go in, it's mold. It's mold. They have water drainage problems. Wherever the mold is coming in from, I don't know, but it's saturating the whole house. Yep. Whether it's coming in from the basement, which I wouldn't be surprised, or whether it's coming in from the rotten wood because of, inadequate maintenance on the house. Maybe they have a leaky roof. I don't know. I just know that it's bad. So I feel really sorry for those people, I don't care who they are, that live next door and having to deal with that shit every day. Okay? I got a lot of wood rot out on the porch, but it hasn't infiltrated onto the inside of my house. I have one mildewy room, which is Tisha's room. It's always been like that. But that's the only room. But that room is right below the bedroom, and our bedroom gets really hot. So either or, I don't know how you would store food over there in any kind of bulk capacity because of the problem with it's beyond mildew, it's mold. Oh yeah. Let me put it to you this way. When I wasn't going over there because I didn't want to badger on about the nonprofit, and I just kind of left James alone and didn't, approach him with it because I didn't want to, waste anybody's time. When he did finally come to my house, and I opened my door, I could smell mold. And I even said to him, I'm smelling mold. I got embarrassed. I thought it was something on my front porch that was molding up. And I couldn't figure, I'm looking to see what was molding, because I got embarrassed for myself thinking, there's something moldy on my porch, right? By the front door, off to the right. And I'm moving things around, trying to figure out what the hell was smelling like mold. Honestly, it was James. It was his clothing, because he's living in mold in that house. And this is what he pays rent for. Yeah, as the plumbing in that garage is backing up all the time. And he's probably got plumbing problems on the inside of the house. And there is a basement, so the mold is either coming in from the basement, or it's coming in from the roof, or it's coming in from the walls, because the house itself is rotting out due to inadequate maintenance on the house in general. This is what we as tenants have to deal with, people. Yep. And then when we move, we'll be paying $3,000 for a similar situation for what James has next door in terms of a really small rancher, where I'd be paying $4,000, maybe as high as $5,000 for what I have right now with similar problems, plumbing problems, porch problems, yard problems, probably electrical problems. It could be like the furnace or the hot water tank, those kind of problems. Yeah. It's not worth it, but you don't have a choice. You're stuck. You're stuck. So yeah, it only makes sense to bring in 10,000 Punjabis in one pop so that 9,000 of them can come from the village to hide the 1,000 that are criminals that spread out across the country and build in that infrastructure to commit heinous crimes with doctors that want to partner up with illegal organ harvesting, because the doctor in crime with Dr. Barr was not a Punjabi. He was Irish or something. I looked up his last name to see what the heritage was in relation to his last name. If I remember correctly, I think it came up Irish. So you got the Irish doctors coming into the country, partnering up with the Punjabi doctors that are coming into the country to infiltrate our hospital systems so that taxpayers can pay for their criminal activity, right? Knowing that the government won't charge them, won't investigate them. As a matter of fact, it's the opposite. Will protect them and throw out anything that's brought to them, like in terms of a lawsuit, to get justice and to bring awareness and to stop the criminal activity. The government won't do that. They'll just throw it out. Because the voting bloc with those 9,000 villagers has already secured the lot of the 1,000 with the government when it comes to those backroom deals. That's the politics in Canada. And now we've got the Palestine people coming in with their demands, their religion, their agendas. Not the Canadian, we're one people, let's uplift Canada as a whole, but let's just build our own Palestine state. If the Punjabis can build their own Palestine, well, we want our own Palestine, right? And so on and so on and so on. Well, the Chinese, they bring in the CPP downtown, where they have their own policing agencies now, plus they put their little signature symbols on certain buildings to say it's a no-go zone and that they own it, even though they don't, just because they laid claim to it through their religious and political operations within that ethnic culture. It's messed up.
Who are also, by the looks of it, Palestinian, who are now gaslighting that, hey, Canada, you guys make it so difficult for Palestinians to come in. Just claim asylum. That's what all these other guys are doing. They're coming from India. It's not a war-torn country. There's no reason to claim asylum. Asylum should be reserved for people coming from, like, dictatorships. People who are under persecution. They either go home and die or they stay in your country. It's not a free pass to just come in and do whatever you like. Now, if you think Indian schools fast-tracked people for citizenship, the nightmare, ladies and gentlemen, of what Mark Carney is about to implement is just beginning. Take a listen to the gaslighting coming from this genius.
Their visa experiences are marked by delays, bureaucratic inaction, and abandonment by Canadian officials. We have been told that biometrics, literally a photo and fingerprints, is causing the delay. Yet other countries have found alternatives.
So, biometrics, like vetting people, understanding where they came from, checking their criminal records, it's causing delays, so we can't have that because they have found other ways of working that around in other countries. Guess which country those are, folks? You're about to hear it.
We are then told there are no border exits, yet France and the UK have found ways to secure safe passage. It has become clear there is simply no political will. And the reason for this, the reason for the inaction, because these students are Palestinian. My student's name is Wasim. We text regularly, and the questions are the same. How is your family? Do you have food? Have you heard about your visa? Each time we text, I'm amazed at his resolve and the hope that remains. One text read, and I quote, "We have no food, but I'm happy because the larger family next door received supplies last week." He has no electricity, yet last week asked me, and again I quote, "Can I start my studies remotely?" He's starving, yet found the energy to tell his story on Canadian radio last week.
Yeah, okay, we're not going to go into the sympathy bleeding heart story anymore. Can I start my studies remotely? There's a reason for that, folks. They want to get in. They want to come here. He sits there saying, oh, we talk all the time. It's the government. There's no action from the government. Mark Carney has already said he's bringing in 100,000. So this is nothing more than that extra push to say, hey, open the doors. Allow them in. They're so hard done by, folks. They're people who behave. They're so nice. All he cared about was that his neighbors got food. Forget himself, bleeding heart.
So they're going to bring in the poorest of the poor that are sitting up in countries with no food, yada yada yada, and what? Put them into these luxury prefab plastic pipe condos that they're building en masse as they're forcing tens of thousands of people into homelessness and bankruptcy and yada yada yada. So the good doer social workers can come in and snatch up on the kids that they can make money off of as they redirect the vulnerable teens to services that many of them will fall through the cracks and be guided towards street kids permanently in terms of that supply and demand. When you can't pimp them out on the streets anymore, you can easily harvest them without anybody missing or noticing that their bodies are being used for that purpose. You know what I'm saying? There was something else I wanted to say in there. So yeah, so if they're bringing in 100,000 Palestine people on top of all the other hundreds of thousands of people that they bring in from India and wherever else they come in from, where do they plan on putting them? Into these 4,000 dinky little luxury condos? Like $3,500 two-bedroom dinky luxury condos that are going to start leaking in 5 years from now with broken pipes, with the clips coming off, with the pipes spraying onto the Presto walls as the mice are scattering and the bugs are still going in between the baseboards and giving people the itch because it's bed bugs, not to mention cockroaches, because it's just a matter of time before they move in. Is that where they're going to put all these immigrants, and who's going to pay for that? Not welfare, not the provincial government. They're not, hell no, they're not, they wouldn't even pay a fraction. For me and Amari, on my welfare check, I think my rent subsidy is $700. That's a far cry away from $3,500 for a dinky two-bedroom luxury condo where I'm either going to freeze in the winter or bake in the winter. I'm either going to freeze in the winter if I live there, or I'm going to fry in the summer if I live there, and I'm going to have to pay $3,500 to $4,000 a month for that because it's quote-unquote new, on a $700 welfare check for shelter. But I suppose 100,000 Palestine people with 100,000 Punjabis coming in at the same time are going to fill up those units. And who's going to pay for it, being that most of them are villagers trying to escape persecution.
I got stupid snacks.
Yeah. From their own country, that is.
Everything's fine.
And that's why they have to come in as asylum seekers, right?
So now you want to get up on me.
Because they're being prosecuted in their own country. So, yeah.
What do you mean? Which one?
Oh my God, what happened? What did I do? Oops.
Loves Palestine. Take a look at this. Is this what we want in Canada? Is this Canada's identity? Is this what we need here? Before you say hell no, because I know you will, take a look at this video. This is Paris in 2025 as a result of everything that happened. I can't show you what happens in the UK because I might get thrown in jail and extradited. I'm not allowed to talk about them. Because they don't want the truth getting out. Take a look at what's going on in Paris.
Well, it doesn't matter what Judy says because YouTube's already got her channel on lockdown. Just say. At least he gets views. I don't.
Paris. I can't play the video because there's this weird techno music going on in the background. We don't want to get a copyright claim. But take a look at the streets here. These are common tourist areas that used to thrive in Paris under tourism. Now, say what you want about France or Paris or anything else, to each their own, but this is what bringing in migrants, without vetting people, without allowing some form of cultural identity within your country, has done to Paris, a once beautiful city. You have artworks there centuries old. You have the Eiffel Tower. You've got history in this city, all being erased by progressive PC, politically correct activists. Does this look like what we want in Canada? Oh, they just wanted to start their studies, ladies and gentlemen. All they wanted to do was go to school. All they wanted to do was be a part of our society. These people, yes, I said these people, they come here not to learn. They don't come here for a better lifestyle. They come here because the doors have been left open. And they plan to turn our country into the same shithole that they came from to begin with. They don't respect our laws. They're given a free pass on our laws by our governments. They're allowed to sit on their ass while being given thousands upon thousands of dollars a year out of taxpayers' pockets because we're just a welfare state. This is what we promote in Canada. And if you dare speak up about it, folks, you're a racist. I would urge every single person watching this video to forward this video out on your socials, forward it to your MPs, forward it to your local councillors in city, your mayors, your premiers, your MPs, your MPPs. Send this their way and ask them, what the hell are you doing? When are we closing the doors? I can't survive in my own country anymore. I don't want Canada's identity erased. There's nothing racist about wanting your own identity in your own country.
I just want to survive, not be gang stalked and hunted in my own house, never mind my neighborhood, or I suppose my province, if you want to say it that way, right? And that would include for my children and my grandchildren, right? My remaining children that are still alive, and for my grandchildren that are born or have yet to be born. It would be nice to know that they wouldn't be targeted and that they could have a future, but I don't think so. And what little future they do have is very meek. And, you know, like, I'm not saying that they, you know, because, you know, for as much as they think, like my son with his wife getting a little house because they're, you know, Marina's parents helped them to do that, let's just say, and they got their little mortgage and they've got their 2 kids, and doesn't mean they're not going to be targeted somewhere down the line where something bad happens to one of their children. I won't be around to see it, but it will be a trigger for Marcane because he'll remember what his family, his sisters, right, and mother and his nephew went through, and now he's like, holy shit, what's going on? We didn't do anything wrong. What happened to my child? And now he's a parent, right? You know what I'm saying? That because, you know, they can, it's like a sleeper cell, and then they go in cycles. Same thing with Tisha. Just because you could have just because Alex has $100,000 income being a plumber, blah blah blah, you buy yourself a little townhouse, blah blah blah, you're living there thinking you've got at least some sense of security, doesn't mean that in 5, 10, 15 years from now, you're not going to be targeted where somebody comes in and does something. And this is what, you know, this is where these social workers are making it very difficult for my kids to want to take responsibility for Amari if I can't do it anymore. Because if they take responsibility for Amari, then they're the next ones to be targeted and be told that they're not doing good enough. They're not, you know, they need to do this, you know, and what's wrong. why can't you produce a miracle where there's no miracles to be found, and then you got you're not being penalized yet unless you do this. Do you honestly think that somebody wants to sign up to look after Amari and take on the burden of financial part of that to be continuously gang stalked over a period of years, whether it's 2 years in intervals, 1 year intervals, 4 year no. Not when they're in survival mode as it is. And these people who do this shit, they know it, and that's why they continue to do it, because it's called psychological warfare, and they're trying to break your spirit so that you give up. And you give in to their wants, and they want to take away. Go ahead, take Amari. Sure, I can't deal with you bitches no more. I'm sick of it, right? You make me feel like crap. You offer nothing good to the table outside of, I'm your personal little bitch that you can kick around town, humiliate, demoralize. Been there, done that too many times to count. And for what? Standing up and looking after my grandkids, fighting a good fight for my daughters who were your age when they were murdered, and your government that you work for that employs you covered it up as if it will never happen to you. Somehow you're protected. Well, what protects you from that system? I'm just saying, because that's what it is. So, yeah, right? Tisha, well, I can't afford it. I can't afford the extra housing. Yada-dee-ya-ya. But in the back of her mind, she doesn't want to have to deal with what I've been dealing with all these years. 2 years ago, it was okay for us to sleep on the couch with Andre on the mat on the floor because it was the best thing for Amari. But now, after 2 years, after all this time, it's not? How could you possibly say that? Because they knew we were sleeping in the living room last time they were here. So what difference does it make? If I could move and get a new place, start fresh, build around Amari's needs first. When I rented this house, I had Uncle John's needs in mind first. Uncle John was my number one priority. I took it because of the back stairs with the rail. What I didn't realize, though, at the time, Andre, be quiet. What I didn't realize at the time, though, just because of the way the landlord snuck me out through the back sliding door, I did not realize that there were no inside stairs. If I would have known that it had no inside stairs, I probably would not have taken the house. But because the back stairs were sturdy, wide, had a second landing for Uncle John to take a breather after he got down the stairs so he can continue going, and had a sturdy rail, right? And then, of course, had enough rooms to house everybody, right? It was the stairs, people, that made me take the house because of Uncle John. If there would have been no stairs for him to get up and down on where he could do it because of his disability, I would never have taken this house. Never. I just didn't realize it didn't have any inside stairs until after I moved in, and I'm running around looking for the inside stairs and they didn't have any. Because where they were, they built a bathroom in it, and I didn't clue in at that time because the landlords were rushing me through. And it was dark, so of course I didn't see as much as I could have. And then they bum rushed me to take it now. Take it now. We'll never raise the rent. Stay as long as you want. But you have to take it now, because if you don't take it now, we can't guarantee that it won't be here when we get back. If you come back and you want it then. I looked at John, I looked at Joan, I said, gee guys, what do you want to do? Because we already looked at like 14 fucking houses. And because these ones had stairs that John could navigate on, up and down, because, Joan and John were going to be downstairs with the, building a life for their, Auntie Joan's last days with her sickness, with the kitchen for herself. And, they could, she could. And John could go up and down the stairs, no problem. He loved those stairs. He didn't mind them. That's exactly what he needed. And I said, okay, fine. And then as soon as I got in, within not even 6 months, I was in the yard, slave to hard labor. As it was being used against me to build a case. So that people like that city dude worker who happened to be a Punjabi who couldn't really speak English very well, came in just out of the blue in the middle of freaking winter, demanding that we get rid of everything in our yard. Well, my landlady was running around gooning on it and power tripping with it. And now we've got social workers in here power tripping. Because we got 100,000 Palestine immigrants coming in that are going to need housing. Well, the Punjabis lobbied the government to keep doing what they're doing so they can turn a blind eye to the families that are being destroyed as they're kicking us out onto the streets and blaming us for it, as they're profiteering either on our children or grandchildren or on our bodies through all those kickback schemes that they've built into that organized religion with partnership with organized criminals.
Anybody who tells you different is gaslighting. They don't care about what you have to say. They don't care about your values. They don't care about your country. These are people actively trying to destroy your country for the betterment of their investments, their portfolios, their votes, so that they can stay in office and keep sticking their snout in the trough. It's high time the government has some form of accountability as to why Canadians' lives aren't going to get better anytime soon and why they're all at risk by bringing in these potential nightmares into our country. Let me know what you guys think down below. If it's your first time here, I sure hope this video has earned your subscription.
I don't know.
As I said earlier, make sure to leave a thumbs up or a comment down below. YouTube app.
Okay, so this guy, I've seen him a few times. Doesn't look like I subscribed to him, so I'm going to subscribe right now. Because I've listened to several videos of his, right? And I've even done comment on it. So he got 31K views on this 5 days ago. He's got 134K subscribers. So he's a big fish. Unacceptable fringe. Alright. So you heard it from him. You didn't hear it from me, but you heard it from him. Okay? So what time is it now? So now it's 7 o'clock. What time did I wake up?
2 something.
Are you sure it was 2? It wasn't 1? Yeah, it was 2. It was a little after 2 a.m. when I woke up. And Andre was moving, and I said, "What are you doing? Go to sleep." He said, "I can't. I'm not tired." And I said, "Why?" "Well, I already had a nap." Okay. And by that time, Amari was awake, right? So he was waking up. Andre, is Amari still awake?
Yeah.
Amari is still awake. So Amari's been up since 2. Andre's been up since 2. I've been up since 2. Normally they're sleeping. Or maybe Amari might be playing, but Andre is sleeping, right? At this time in the morning, okay? So I ain't going to tell everybody to go to sleep at this point. I'm just not. And I would just toss and turn. Because you know I'm freaking out with the social workers and their demands, right? And just with the anxiety of yard work and porch work and blah, 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 blah. So I don't know if my son is moving around yet. I'm going to try and call him, and I'm going to see if I can get down there ASAP, do the big chore for the day, get that closet unit thing out, and once that's out, then we can figure out what the battle plan is in terms of what type of food stuff we're going to put there for, you know, long term as we make it easy to access food so that, you know, we can benefit from my efforts before we get evicted for property development. So 100,000 Palestine people can move into those luxury condos at $4,000 a pop per 2-bedroom suite. I don't know what kind of jobs they're going to get, but you know they're moving in. Otherwise, they're just going to stay as ghost buildings because families like mine can't afford it, and they wouldn't even be big enough for our families. That's how backwards everything is. What we get is the streets. and broken families and a trail of bodies that have been injured or harvested. And that's just a fact. And that's why YouTube continues to shadow ban my channel. Because I keep it on the table, because there is no justice. No justice, not for one single soul in my family. Okay? As a matter of fact, they're still going in for the kill to hurt us, one way or another, versus helping us like they say they want to do. Because if they really want to help us, they'll work towards stopping the corruption within their own government agencies.